assimilated theory that the stimulus is impoverished, and we have constructed internally to Descartes and referred in passing to behaviorism and implied that it sort of had the opposite sort of take on the issue that why does it take so much stimulus to sort of get for a child to learn the concepts, linguistic concepts. And I was wondering if you would comment on, say, other theories that involve rich stimuli. I'm thinking of Gibson's ecological realism, and why is it not as naturalistic approach? Why is it not naturalistic to look for properties of the environment, say properties of the environment that would correspond to a container object, instead of saying that structure is in a language faculty?
Well, the problem with that is that you can perfectly well say that houses, those things in the environment, have all the properties that I mentioned. That's true. Houses are the physical thing out there. It has the property of eliciting a point of view which says you're just an exterior surface, and it has the property of eliciting the point of view that says you're an exterior surface plus a distinguished interior with abstract properties. And it has all of those properties. Must have them. In fact, it has exactly the properties that enabled me to think about it in that way. But the trouble is it also has every other array of properties. Has any array of properties you like. If I design a different organism that decides to look at a house with a distinguished interior surface and some other property, the exterior plus things 10 feet away, has that property too. So you're back to the question, why do I pick out that set of properties? And the only answer to that, short of divine intervention, has got to be that it's coming from inside me. So we're back to the same theory. There's only the appearance of a different approach there. That's self-delusion.
There seems to be an assumption underlying your theory of natural language that there's a close link between the signifier and the signified. That, I guess, to use your analogy to Descartes, that when you and I both look at this figure, we both see a perfect triangle, that you're not seeing a triangle and I'm seeing a square. One thing that I'm interested in, if you do agree that this is an assumption that underlies this, why do you make that assumption?
Because it's true.
And also,
I mean, it's overwhelmingly supported. I mean, it's not always true in every possible case, but in the case of, in Descartes' case, looking at a triangle, it's true, and you can demonstrate it in the laboratory.
How do you respond then to, say, post-structural theorists who come from a radically different assumption?
Well, if I understood what they were talking about, I guess I could respond. But not understanding what they're talking about most of the time, I can't respond. I mean, if somebody can present to me, I won't say that I don't understand anything. I mean, there are some things that I read and they kind of evoke images and associations in my mind, and I can sort of make up a story and say, well, it probably means that. It usually turns out to be something pretty obvious, such as the fact that your interpretation of a text depends on, all sorts of things that you're bringing to it, or that the environment, that the history is bringing to it, and so on and so forth. Sure, that's obvious. When I try to understand something, to try to find something non-obvious, I can't find it. Or maybe that's my defect, like maybe I'm lacking a gene or something. But anyway, when I read it, that's what happens. I should also say that I have, there are a lot of things in the world I don't understand. So, for example, if I pick up the latest issue of the Physical Review and I read one of the articles in it, or, some set theory journal, I'm not going to understand it either. But there's a radical difference between these cases. In the case of the Physical Review, first of all, I know that if I made the effort, I could get to understand it. And I know what course to undertake to get closer and closer to understanding it. I've done it in cases which I happen to be interested in. Furthermore, I know that I can go to my friend in the physics department and say, look, this looks like total gibberish to me. Explain it to me at my level of ignorance and stupidity so that I'll be able to understand it. And he can do that. On the other hand, when I try this with a page of Derrida, nobody can explain to me what it means. And I don't know what process to go through to get it to be other than just words spinning around on the page. So maybe it's some new variety of human intellectual achievement that goes beyond quantum physics and set theory and all these other things. But anyhow, it does look qualitatively different to me. That, as I say, maybe that's my defect. But that's why I can't answer the questions.